do you find out that, okay, we're actually making a documentary about this tour and like cameras? I guess I want to know, because I'm a big reality TV fan and I cover a lot of it for this show. How intrusive were the cameras? Yeah, maybe let's start there. And also, how did you find out? Do we call a staff meeting and be like, okay, kids, we're actually filming this and we're going to try to make a little movie out of it? Like, how do you learn that you're
Start right when they start bringing the contracts to us. You're going to be filmed all the time, and this is what's going on. Sign away, sign it away, sign it away.
Right away. And I originally, it was like she just wants to make sure she documents everything. She wants to get the footage of, I felt like when the original crew came in, that was the intention. Like they didn't know yet if they really had a movie. It was just starting to document and definitely wanting to have everything recorded and captured. And then as the tour went on, so much stuff went down. And by that time, we'd been telling our stories. We'd been in, we would lay in bed and talk about our early years and our parents and the family dynamics and everything. And me personally, like I told a lot of stuff about my parents breaking up and my dad, who was still alive. My mom wasn't. But I was like sweating it at that premiere, hoping that, like, what did I say? I hope some of that stuff that might not make my dad might feel bad about that, some things that
I remember the crew coming with me. We had played Madison Square Garden, and the crew went with me down to the Blue Note to see my dad play. And it was like Blossom Dearie and like all
they should have kept that in.
Well, I was so glad that they didn't, because I don't think my dad was not feeling so well, and I just there's a lot of mixed emotions about that time period. Part of me is like, I'm so grateful that, I was with her during that time period because my sister was dying. It was, serious. My sister had a serious drug problem. And then when she contracted HIV in women, for me, that was just like something that was so unknown to me. And I just remember everyone was talking about the men with this disease, blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking about, I knew my sister was dying. And I also knew at that point, I had also known that one of the reasons I even had the job was because I had to replace somebody who also had the illness, from drug use. And so for me, part of me is like, thank you, Madonna, for, keeping me off them streets, because I don't know what my life would have been like. And if I had to be that close to it. But also, I think people forget what we as women went through during that time period, because it's so much, they're talking about so much about what men were going through. They forget that there were women dying of that too. And there are a lot of women who were getting HIV at that point, and Black women even more so during that period.
And then transmitting to children. If you're pregnant at that time, the child is born positive as well.
Yeah, it's once again. So yeah, having cameras in front of your face was a little difficult for me sometimes, even more so because we weren't in the phone era yet, and I wasn't used to watching people play to the camera. That part always kind of freaked me. I was like, oh, I thought we just hanging, like, let them film. Why are we? And then you watching people, it's like, oh, but you got performers. These are performers now. So that's part of what they do.
Well, that actually brings up a good question, which is, over the evolution of the tours that you did. So collectively, we have Who's That Girl, Blonde Ambition, The Girly Show, Reinvention. Donna, you went on to do Reinvention and Confessions. How did you guys observe the change in dancers?
You want to talk about that, Donna?
Well, I mean, from all the tours I did, they were getting so much more, it was getting more acrobatic, and just even what she was doing, I remember her like flying around over us in 2001, just like, what, it was amazing.
We had to fly. Remember the dancers were flying. The dancers were flying. That's right. We sang and they flew around us.
We were singing, but she was like doing the whole,
right.
hitting, what is it? Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon.
Yes.
That whole thing. in the fighting,
Right.
and how hard she worked on that was crazy because the guy had to manually keep pulling her like up
Pulling her
and
up.
down in the pulling her in the air and through the air and everything. It was crazy, but
But what about Leah?
it got so
What about like
acrobatic.
the personalities coming into the room, like the personalities of the
What I'll tell
dancers?
you what I noticed. What I noticed, the biggest thing for me, one was social media. And if anything, I say, especially we have children now, it has completely remorphed how people interact with each other, as we well know. It has
Mm-hmm.
it has really set a tone with having people come in your lives with an agenda. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that we had that, for sure not in Who's That Girl? For sure not on Girly Show. I just don't remember dancers coming in with managers and da 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 da, and they're following and da da da, and it's like, so they come in with their almost celebrity kind of energy, which shifts the creative process to me. Now that's just me. Second of all, when September 11th happened, that shifted for me what felt pressing in the need to even more so be present with each other and really be conscious of the words that we said to each other. And I remember that tour was very, very challenging for me with the gas mask and the "fuck you, America" and all that kind of shit. And it was not sitting well with me. And as far as I was concerned at that point, and maybe even for her, she knew, and as you can tell, I'm not a person who knows how to, bite my tongue. I had said what I needed to say as far as that, unless there was something going to be really changed. The band was no longer there. The emphasis on as far as I was concerned, on having a great live band and all that. It was much more, like she said, acrobatics, a lot of more, it almost felt circusy sometimes to
Oh
me.
yeah.
Which is fine, and if I want to go play Cirque du Soleil, I'll do that.
Something different.
Yeah.
Always something really different.
And I'm
And
definitely and to this day I'm always still going to be I'm about the music first.
When
Mhm.
when you went to do, are there any final thoughts on Blonde Ambition? I guess let's talk about, that was again like an international, you're playing stadiums, in Truth or Dare, it's chronicled, you're dealing with wind and rain and the elements because these stadiums are outside. Are there any memories of just like, what is just like the craziest thing you had to deal with that was like
Blonde Ambition?
Yeah, just or even Girly Show, anything that took place outside where like elements are coming at you, like
Oof.
rain, thunder, lightning, like
That's Who's That Girl with the blades. We had Who's That Girl with the mini blinds that turned into thousands of knives coming at you. It's like who thought of that? You're going to be in a stadium where wind goes, but you're going to try to turn mini blinds.
And they would bend, they would always bend, and then they'd have to like fix them and everything. I mean, everyone knows who has mini blinds. If you've ever had them, what happens to them? So just imagine giant ones, but
yeah.
On that, I can say that like realizing like when we were in Italy and with the cross, with the lasers coming out and the threats that were going on, and realizing, she used to talk about being at the end of, it was the 1987 tour where she would freeze. And she always would talk about like if anyone was going to shoot her, it was like a perfect shot because she was there during Nowhere to Run, Nowhere to Hide. It was a part in the show where she just was so vulnerable, freezing. So that kind of sinking in 87 and then in 90, really realizing like we could get shot up here. Like, really realizing where we were. We were in Italy and there were a lot of threats.
Classic video of us three walking and literally singing Holiday. To me, it's like, that's going in the book, or in the video or whatever. It's like the three of us is walking and her literally going behind us and spitting behind us and going, we could get arrested for that. And you're like, Yeah, holiday celebrate. Yeah, I guess we could, huh? Oh yeah, this is for real. And all the cops are all around us. So yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Just
and
remembering
yet
doing that. I just every night, going across the stage thinking like, is someone gonna like take a shot at us right now? Like, but that wasn't everywhere. That was just when
no.
we were really aware of threats and things like that and realizing how she, ultimately just pushed so many people's buttons. And
Flashing
then at the end of the day, they just enjoyed the show. So
flashing forward to 2000, 2000, she brings you back for music for the music video to music and
Niki did that.
in the car. And then you guys also went on promo tours with her, like you performed that live. This is the advent of those like squat jumps, those like deep knee squat jumps. Talk to me about this. and also like the fact that the two of you were athletes. I mean, along with Madonna, the athleticism that had to, like I guess I want to hear about the squat jumps and how I'm sure that tore up your body. And if we can talk
looking
about
at a knee replacement right now.
No.
Yes, I'm not going to do it, but yeah, not yet. But they're talking about it. Yeah, I mean, I was coming off of an injury, so that's the hardest part about. I mean, the music video was she was pregnant with Lourdes, and she just called me. She said, "Come do me a solid. I just can't do this by myself." And she and Debbie and I just went and said, "We're going to go have some fun," and that's all it was, which is a fun day. But when she decided she was going to start doing all that, power squat jump things, I was still learning how to really, really walk well again. I had, new shoes made from an injury. And she knew it. And she knew it. And I was like, okay. So hence why I call that particular tour my Muhammad Ali tour, because it's like when you're watching that footage of Muhammad Ali and he should not be fighting anymore. I felt like that. I felt 40 dancing next to 20-year-olds doing squats I should not be doing because my leg was still very much injured and I should not have been doing that. But I got through it. And I remember every night just going, music, one more, just give me one more. And so, yeah. And I'm sure my attitude suffered much on that tour because of that. Aging ain't for sissies. It ain't for sissies.
The training, particularly for Blonde Ambition, where the two of you really were dancing in nearly every number, except for maybe the ballads, you were right up there with her. What was the physical regimen? Like, what was the fitness schedule and the training like for that?
It varied for many. I was the fat girl.
Yeah, I always remember that it was so important for me to keep my legs really strong because there was there were always like climbing involved and this and that. And when I went to the hotel gym, I would always be sure to do like my legs and once again squats with some weights. So then if your legs were stronger, when you did get up to do those moves on stage, you felt a lot lighter, It was just, but for me, I went out running with her a couple times and I was like, bye-bye. And she just went like flying away. And I'm like, I'm staying back. Like I never worked that hard physically.
It's called endurance. That's what you learn. It's like, I knew I was strong. It's just like, how many times can you do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? For me, I just knew I was feeling the old athlete kind of feeling. And because I knew the singing I could do, singing was no problem. It was the physicality and not knowing the damage that I was doing on my body. So I remember training during the Blonde Ambition tour and Girly Show. Don and I have had conversations about this and just beating myself up so bad about what my body looked like. And now, of course, I look at it now and I'm like, you were fine. What the fuck were you? What?
Yeah,
why would you
look at deeper and deeper? I mean, just look at your body because that's what you see, your shape, and it was just so beautiful. And I always tell Niki that, and
Well, remember, we weren't in the Lizzo world. We weren't in the We weren't even in the Beyonce world where the curves and all that stuff was celebrated. So I was
right, and you were standing next to us. Yeah, you're standing next to us, which.
When the stage got very wet, or if people in the audience were throwing things on stage, even like gifts or whatever, how did you manage? Well, I guess really the slipperiness of the stage. Like, how do you not, like, what kind of like boots were you wearing to like?
Well, I'm going to tell you, that's the one thing that the Blonde Ambition tour did teach people, as far as I'm concerned. It's taught me. But sometimes, the wardrobe people don't think of what you really need to function singing-wise, dancing-wise. So the whole mic, knee pads, elbow pads, like what we're doing is really athleticism. So our wardrobe people in that particular tour took that into account. Because when I look back on us with the chairs, laying back on chairs, lifting all the things that we were doing, we could have broken something so easy. Her walking on us with, she's like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So if anything, that was a shift. And if you check it out, once again, because she's a forward thinker, that's when everybody started doing the mics around her face, including, we are part of a rhythm nation. We did it first. I'm just saying, and just a lot, and singers going, you know what? I fucking need knee pads on this particular and making it part of the costume, as opposed to going, no, fall on your knees no matter what. And it's like, no, understanding that kind of stuff was important. Wish we did more of it.
With each of your children, did they like how old are your kids now?
20.
So mine are almost 21 in February. Or
almost 21.
And
almost
then Lucy's turning 15.
How old?
Yeah.
How old is
our 15. Daughters will be 21 in February.
And 15.
And then the other one's
15.
Do you show them videos? Like, do they know what a big deal mom is? Like, have they seen the videos and the dancing that you've done? Like, are they aware that, like, of who is Madonna anybody to them?
No.
For my daughter, she's this old lady. Madonna
exactly.
is Marlene Dietrich. She is Marlene.
I hate
Marlene
to say
Dietrich.
it. It's like they might comment Sophia might comment on like one of her TikTok posts or something, but it's not. It's commenting on her just as a celebrity, not thinking of her as a musician, as a singer, as a body of work, and her. I mean, everything that she's done. I mean,
have you shown them
idea.
You with her, like clips?
Maybe if I post something like on our Instagram or something, I might show. But I don't think for so long, like they didn't ever watch YouTube or anything. They didn't.
Yeah.
Watch, I mean, we didn't really. I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched Truth or Dare or anything, or one of those concerts in its entirety.
Yeah. Only because we've been doing our show, been looking back, and because people are asking me about, okay, what's your favorite? I'm like, let me look back and see what we did. And that's why I'm like, damn, I'm exhausted looking at it. It's like, we really were warm. Holiday from Blonde Ambition. I'm so fucking tired just looking at it. Just for us to.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's at the end. I know.
And you're waiting for her to say, stop. Okay, guys, you can just relax for a minute.
And we're like,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the breathing. Like you're trying to freeze, but you're breathing so hard that your body's just going like, yeah. I mean, I might.
So my daughter could care less.
Like